Well, okay, everybody. Today we are blessed. We're blessed with having all of you on here, but we have a very special guest. And after this, I asked Michael before we got on here, and Michael Dimuccio is our special guest today to make his comments, give his feedback, also what he does, however you want to look at it, and then answer your questions. So without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Michael Dimuccio from Canada. And there you go, Michael. How are you?
Terrific. Thanks, Dave. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, no problem.
Well, Dave, your points are succinct. I mean, it's a very fundamental concept is to find people and help them launch their business, and then in turn help them do the same, learn and repeat, rinse, repeat. There's a couple of things that you pointed out, which I think is something that is often missed. And I call it the alignment phase. You call it, the indoctrination. It's where the person has an opportunity to simmer and get a little bit more familiar with what it is that they're doing, what it is that they want before you actually get into a launch. Often we're encouraging people to get started before they're ready to get started. And that I think can set them up for failure because they just don't know what to do. And if they're making it up as they go, they're much more inclined to meet resistance, and then they don't know how to handle that resistance. So getting very clear about what you want, and you refer everything to that, is absolutely the key to success in anything. If you don't know what you want, then you don't know why you're doing what you're doing. And things can easily distract you from the things that are necessary in order to succeed. So having a reference as to what it is you really want and how does this business and therefore the activities relate to what you want. It's not, when I went to university, I wanted a degree in aerospace engineering. I didn't know what it was going to take, but that's not the point. The point is I wanted a degree in aerospace engineering, and then I figured out what I had to figure out as we went along, as they unfold the curriculum, as you get into the lab reports, and as you have to do problem sets and so forth. Those are just things you deal with as you go through the process of developing yourself to get that degree. But it's with the view of getting the degree that you even bother to do all those things, because none of those things were actually fun for the most part. So in our business, if you don't have a reason to do it, if you don't have a context, then there's no real meaning in the activity as it relates to and provides you with the motivation necessary. So that's, I think, really important, that first step. Then you identify the second thing as launch. I can't tell you how important that word is to me. I mean, it's been in everything I've ever written in terms of training. Launch somebody's business. What does that actually mean? Well, right now, for instance, they were prepping for the launch of a rocket to go to the moon to test the rocket. And there's a lot of stuff that goes into getting ready to launch. You don't just say, okay, let's go. There's the prep. There's the, making sure all systems are ready to go. And then when you go, you go. You can't not commit. Once you're committed, it's done. So that launch is a flurry of activity that's well orchestrated and designed because it has an outcome in mind. And it's essentially the same for everybody. It's to expose a number of people in a short period of time. I like the example that you gave because I think pretty much almost every single person I've ever launched into a silver position or above, I did with an in-home. And so an in-home being a series of meetings in-home where the goal was, and it's usually 3, by the way, that's also a magic number as well. There's almost a minimum of 3 in-homes necessary to get enough people into the mix, into the process where you have enough activity resulting from the sales and the sponsoring where a person can go silver. So, I mean, if you had to say, what's the formula for helping somebody go silver? And you pointed out also in the training, the game is, we're a silver manufacturing business. We want to help people break silvers, learn how to do that as a matter of course, because it's the silvers that have the most to gain of the business. They are maximizing their earning potential as a silver. And so helping people to be in a position where they can make money, and creates that, therefore creating the incentive to qualify, is really the name of the game when it comes to the 6%, the residual income, the big bucks. And I don't think anybody's here to learn about how to make small bucks. You probably wouldn't take the time out of your day to learn about making small bucks, but you're here because you want to learn how to make the big bucks. And we're telling you exactly what it is that it takes to make the big bucks. You need to start thinking in these terms, because as you think this way, you start to act this way, and you start to attract this way. I don't know, more than that, I think that was pretty much the fundamentals. Is obviously you want to duplicate what you're learning, and you're going to do that through people who have a reason to do the business. So again, it comes back to point number one. If they don't know what they want, and that's not enough to motivate them to do what may seem uncomfortable or might seem like work, it's not a lottery. This is a network. There's a word work in that, network marketing. So I just find that these are all truths. These are all, it's very simple. I mean, it doesn't have to be more complicated than what you've explained today. It really doesn't. Yeah, you're going to learn how to make demos more interesting, and you're going to learn how to answer objections more with finesse, and how to do ABCs and all that. Those are just the problem sets, the exams, the tests that we have to learn how to do and get through as we're going for our degree. You'll get through all that stuff.
It was like
you have a reason.
Cole's notes, right?
Yeah. So, it's always going to, we're always going to have a better video. We're always going to have another product. We're always going to have another, whatever. There's always something to keep things interesting and moving forward. But the fundamentals don't change. They really don't. And as much as the internet has played a great service to us in being able to expand more quickly and to be able to operate more efficiently, I still think that it doesn't take away from the fundamentals. I'll give you an example. I've got a young audience right now that I'm working with who have achieved the rank of silver and gold the old way. But the old way for them now is not good enough. It has to be their way. And so they're right now trying to invent their way, whatever that means. But it's interesting to note that it was the old way, the fundamentals, that got them to silver and gold, and it wasn't their way. And right now, their way is no way for the most part. So I find that no matter how times change and how technology plays a role, the fundamentals don't change, because that's what drives the business and the behavior. So stick to the fundamentals. And I'll give you one example of this. There was a couple that I'd met in Long Island, New York. And I was on my way to an event in Maui, Hawaii, the same month that they were planning on launching their business. And they'd come to Toronto. They'd learned how to do those basic demos. We'd spent the weekend together. That's when they made a decision they were going to do this as a business. But it just coincided with bad timing for me. I had to fly out instead of going there to do in-homes. And they'd heard the trainings, and they heard me say, have an in-home, have a presenter get an A, blah, blah, blah. And they asked me, okay, so Mike, well, since you're going to be away, who's going to be our A? Now you might think, well, I guess we're going to have to postpone the launch or something. No, they understood there needs to be an A. They understood there needs to be an in-home. In fact, there were 3. And the problem I had to solve was how to provide an A, even though I wasn't going to be there. And so I came back to them and I said, don't worry, I have 2 of the best presenters in all of NECANN who are going to do your presentation. They're like, what? Really? And they were both Royal Diamonds? Oh my God, that's exciting. I said, the video will be on its way tomorrow. In other words, it was a video of those 2 Royal Diamonds doing a wellness preview. And at the moment where the wellness preview says pause, so you can do your product demos, that's when they're going to do their product demos. Well, we did that, 3 of those meetings, and they were silver by the end of the month. It was 3 meetings, bang, they produced a silver ship. So the fundamentals don't change. The circumstances change, but the fundamentals don't.
Absolutely right. Great commentary there, Michael. So if you had one thing that was the most important to get this whole thing going for you, what would that have been, or what did you try and convey to the people that you talked to?
I think it was important for people to feel like they were going to be part of something special. So it wasn't about me, wasn't about my business, it wasn't about my launch. Those were just, that's an internal conversation.
Yeah.
It was about what we were going to create. It was about being a part of creating something that would lead to success for everyone on many different levels.
Yes.
So the idea of the team, why are we recruiting? We're not recruiting for the sake of recruiting. We're recruiting because we want to build a team. And from those leaders that emerge out of that effort, that creates a momentum, and that momentum leads to the growth and all the successes. So fundamentally, why do you want a team? What do you need a team for? When you think of sports, teams come together to win trophies. They come together to win pennants. They come together to, win games. So it's about bringing something together that's more together than it is individually, and create something of value and something of meaning where everyone wins. That's what is the most important thing for me to convey whenever I'm in prospect mode or I'm trying to invite somebody to look at Niken. It's not only about what is it that they're going to gain, it's what is it that we're going to create that will warrant them gaining what they're asking for.
Awesome.
And yeah, I think that's important, because if it's a small vision, then you don't really need a lot of help, and you don't really need to recruit a lot of people with a lot of ambition. But if it's a big vision, you're going to need a lot of help, and you're going to need to recruit people with some ambition. So it starts with the understanding that we're going to create something of meaning, of value, of significance. Identify with that. And what I like about Vision 2025, whether we consider it realistic or not, it's the idea is that the company has a vision for the future. And now we need to align our vision to say, okay, how am I going to contribute to that vision? How many of those 10 million new people are going to be because of what we do? And so that creates an alignment. It creates a vision that goes beyond me. And therefore, now I need the help to make that happen. And that creates the impetus, the motivation, and the story, and the excuse, if you will, for recruiting.
Awesome job, Michael. Thank you very much. Now, your job's not done yet, because now I'm going to open it up to the field to ask questions. And they can either ask you, or they can ask me, or they can ask somebody else. That's quite acceptable. So, Madeline, you have your hand raised. Go ahead.
I just like to comment, because you mentioned value and vision and creating this something big. Nancy, Clyde, and I were in Maui, and this was the first Team Kaizen, Team Taishi, former President's Club trip that there was not a current Royal Diamond on. Nancy is the newest person. And Nancy, I don't know if you're putting you on the spot here, I guess, you and your husband, if you're willing to unmute and comment. But I just came off the ATR call where those of us that were present shared some takeaways. We happened to be in Hawaii when Richard Bliss Brooks was there, and Luis invited him. So we had a 2.5-hour session with him, and an introduction and an ending by Luis. And it was pretty much what you both have just summarized. Mission, creating something huge for a solution that we have, and belief that it is achievable. The uncomfortable part, I think, for all of us, and I want to compliment Dave and Mike doing this together today and continuing to work with us in the field with their uniquely different, yet, as was obvious in what was just recorded, the principles are the same. But two concepts that came out, and it was summarized at the end of our ATR call, and that was valuation, value added, and this huge mission that at this point in time of global unrest really is a solution that is needed and desired, but people still don't know about it yet. So we need more networks and more people knowing about it for that exponential growth to occur. So I just wanted to add that. That's my comment. And Nancy Clyde, or if you're still on here, and I don't know whether she's still on or not, or whether she might have.
Yeah, she's on.
Yeah,
I'm
Nancy's on. Yeah,
I'm
okay.
here. Thanks, Madeline. Yeah, you put me on the spot. The trip was fabulous. Hearing Richard Brooks speak was wonderful. Dave Roth and Michael, you're all on the same page. You really are. Different personalities like all of us have. And I need to get it into my head. First of all, Dave, you always talk about how we need to talk about the money and that value. There's the financial part, but then there is that vision, which you both have said, and Michael, you did, and Richard Brooks. We have got to get the value of that thing we are building, and what is it, 10 million by 2025. And so just getting that into my head, and at the same time, still reaching out, growing, and getting it and leaning on you guys to communicate that. Like you said, Michael, the A, well, yes, that is true. You need that person, and I still do. Yes, I was Team Kaizen on this trip, and it was fabulous, and I want to be in Japan. But we need that A to be another voice of, and for me, it would be the commission and you want to make this much money here, I have someone you need to talk to type thing. But no, everyone is on the same page. It's just fabulous.
Thanks, Nancy. Now, I talk about the money, but the key to the money is it's the scorecard, but it's more importantly called viability. In other words, it's a human condition of, of feeling good about yourself and being able to take care of what needs to be taken care of. So it's not the money that's the most important thing. It's actually the lowest thing on the scale. Purpose is the highest, but it's the viability of what you're doing that is so crucial to your future, to your success, and what other people are interested in. And if I look at my own situation, I focused on that. I've helped hundreds of thousands of people and did all of those wonderful things, close to $1 billion in product sales, and probably influenced another couple of billion as well. But it was all based on talking about viability and feeling good about yourself and feeling good that you're worthwhile. And here's the other reason why, is because you get knocked out of the game. It costs money to play this game. And if you don't make it, then you're dead in the water. I mean, it's just, I've seen too many of those situations, and it's very disheartening when there's no reason or no need and no such thing as failure. It's just not doing what you need to do, not learning what you need to learn, and finding the right help to get there. So anyway, thanks for your contribution, Nancy. And
I just want to add that word, Dave, that's such a powerful word, the word viability. It's kind of what I was trying to get across. It's, if you can't demonstrate the viability of this idea, this business, then why would anybody join or make an effort? But
Exactly.
But if you have a vision is huge, and you're demonstrating the viability that vision is real and palatable because of the circumstances in the world, as Madeline pointed out, then we have a real opportunity. And if there's a real opportunity, that means there are people who are going to benefit from fulfilling the need.
Absolutely, Michael. Couldn't have said it better myself. And it's so important. It's a piece. We do have 5 pillars, and one of those, the 5th pillar, is that income viability pillar. And sometimes it gets thrown to the back burner because of maybe frustration, or couldn't figure out how to do it, or didn't get the right help or support, or silly things were done. But what's really nice, we're in a change mode right now, and the company is working on ideas that are going to be geared towards improving viability And so that we can reach that goal, because that's what it's going to take. Anyway, anybody else have anything they'd like to address to either Michael, myself, to the group, comments, feedback? Don't be shy. This is a business about communication. Oh, wow. I guess we said everything, Michael. I mean, they know everything. Now we should expect, there's 15 people on the call, 15 new Royal Diamonds.
David, it's Elaine. I just have something I want you to address, okay?
Okay.
All right. Let's talk about, consistency and persistence and just general organization from day to day and week to week.
Consistency, persistence, and daily activities. Michael, do you want to attempt that one?
Well, I think that's a big one from coming from Richard Brooke. I think he's one of the people who really pushes this. How do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. And if you try and do it all in one sitting, you're going to be overwhelmed and you probably won't get very far. So even though your vision may be large, how do you get that to fruition? Is one bite at a time, step by step. So you break down your objectives, whether it's your big vision, your annual objective, your quarterly objective, your monthly objective, whatever is the goal, whatever's the objective, you break it down. Bob Proctor used to say, you reduce it to the ridiculous. Break it down. So, and the thing that you can focus on is the task at hand immediately in front of you. So essentially in our business and our business plan would be to break it down to, what do I need to do today, this day, in order to move the agenda forward? And so we actually did that on my call last couple of weeks, where we started to point out what are those absolute musts. What's your top 10 list of things I absolutely have to do this day if I intend to achieve my objectives in the business, that at the very least I have to do one of these things. There may be 10 high priority items, but I've got to do at least one of these things. It boils down to the daily activity, the DMO. So I think what happens is when you can boil down your activity to, what do I have to focus on right here, right now, and get that done. Let's say it's one contact a day. Let's say that's what it boils down to, because what ensues from one contact a day is everything else. There's going to be follow-up. There's going to be presentations. There's going to be product sales. There's going to be people being sponsored if you have people in the pipeline. So if it was one person per day, and it's all you had to focus your attention on is to get that one new contact made. Well, think about it. All your energy, all your creative forces start to think about solving that problem. And so if for 30 days, that's all you had to do was solve that one problem every day, you'd have had 30 people come through the pipeline in that month. Clearly, there's going to be a result, especially if you're doing the things that we've been talking about. And that result's going to be a lot better than no person per day or one person per week, because it's at the end of the day, a matter of numbers. So the DMO, I think, is the key to boiling down the big vision, the big plan, the big idea into something you can manage and focus on and solve every single day. So then if you need guidance on how to translate your income objective or your business objective into what does that daily method look like, that's where you get some help from people like Dave or myself who've done this before. One thing I would say that's different between what we're talking about right now and a launch is the volume of traffic. I think that's pretty much the only difference. It's how many people are you engaging on a daily basis in a launch versus, in maintaining your business or growing your business over a longer window of time. A launch is just a focused effort. It has a higher concentration of contacts in a certain time span. That's really the only distinction, because no matter what you do, you still have to bring people through this information flow. They still have to go through the process, make the decisions, create the outcomes. whether you're doing 10 in a week or you're doing 1 in a month, the thing that you're doing is the same. It's just how much of it are you doing is the distinction between a launch and a maintenance or a small calculated growth.
Beautiful. Thanks, Michael. I'd like to just add a couple things. Total in agreement. One of my favorite shows to watch is HGTV. And what it is, it's a home building show. It's non-violent, except for when they destroy a house or something. And it doesn't just stimulate you to the problems of the world. It's actually very creative. But the analogy here is that the more you know and understand what activities create what results, the more you can create your consistency and know what your daily activities are. So from your industry, Elaine, where you came from, it'd be like the open heart surgery or the transplant surgeries that started many years ago. The first ones were complete failures and they just couldn't figure out, but over time, they developed consistency. They learned what to do. They learned what activity created what result. They got results, and now it's second nature, and they're doing it with everything. And they have great results. So when I started this business, my budget was $8,000 a month. I had nothing. I had nobody in my organization. I had a little bit of success in front of me of people that did some great things, but it was just, okay, what do I do? And I was told what to do. I knew what to do from past experience, but it's talked to as many people as I could. But I had to have a story. I had to learn what to say. I had to learn the products. I had to learn the plan. There are a lot of pieces, which then goes back to, step one, of understanding the pieces of the puzzle. It's like playing chess or playing checkers or playing any game. What are the rules? How does it work? And there is no given, that you're going to make it or not. I mean, that's life. Everybody's playing this game of life, and there are lots of rules of life, right? And some make it, some don't. So it's the same thing that you have to apply. But I think if you listen to what Michael said, you listen to what other experts have said, the main focus is know where you're going, know what makes it work, and then just go like the wind. I mean, just do as much as you possibly can, and then when you get there, then you can come back and smile and chuckle and, like I said, celebrate. I was in Kansas City. It was 1998. I was on stage, and it was the first Team Diamond event that they actually had live fireworks on stage, and I'm being presented with live fireworks on stage. At that time, my other half was in Hawaii with her mother. I'm on the cell phone saying, hey, I'm getting presented Royal Diamond in my jacket, fireworks going off the stage. And then I said, okay, now what's next? I arrived. What's next? And it was to create the next plan. So just do that, and I think you'll have a great time. And again, you need help, then raise your hand. Don't be embarrassed. Don't say, raise your hand and say, I need help. There's people that love to do this and want to help you. So there you go. Anybody else have anything they'd like to add? Yes, Sue. You're muted. Okay, there you go.
First of all, I want to say thank you to both you and Michael for Dave, for you for the take a look, being a newbie, doing all of that preliminary learning has helped me tremendously and given me a lot of confidence. And Michael, what you just said today, as far as alignment, that's really true as a newbie, because as an example, I was a realtor for almost 20 years, and I knew the real estate industry, so it was very easy for me to talk about it. And now I'm at the point with Nikan that last week I had a phone interview, and it really created a lot of confidence in me. And Madeline, you and I need to talk later, but I am going to commit to all of you that I am going to be a silver by the end of September.
All right.
And Madeline, you're going to have to help me get there, but I know I can do it. I love the product. Right now, you know, since I've had that hip surgery and my other hip needs to be done, and I'm experiencing still quite a lot of pain in my left hip, where I like to be is in my sleep system, you know, sitting covered with the blanket, and it helps tremendously with the pain. So here we go. Wish me luck. Say some prayers for me, and I'm going to do it.
Congratulations on being silver.
Thank you.
Amen.
All right, anybody else? All right, guys, then I'm going to end off. I'll stop the recording here. Thank you for being on today. And thank you, Michael, for being our special guest speaker. And we'll hopefully see you on the Nican Highway very soon. So I'll stop the recording.
Wonderful. Thanks for having me.
I want to personally thank Michael and David for being on together. Yes, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you.